My name is Marco van Emden, CEO of Timeless Africa Safaris, and welcome to the first of our Ignite Your Passion for Africa series, where we explore Africa's wide open spaces and discover unique, secluded destinations. Today, we are introducing the magnificent Masaai Mara in Kenya. Easily accessed from Nairobi, the Masaai Mara is one of the world's last great wildlife regions, with a famous migration of wildebeest and zebra being one of its many spectacles. It is my pleasure to introduce to you Nikki Fitzgerald, founder and CEO of Ngama Mara, a luxury 5-star lodge situated in the Mara Triangle, and Adam Bannister, the photographic specialist and field guide at Ngama Mara. They will take you on a journey of magnificent discovery, a journey that I've been privileged to experience and shared with family, friends, and clients many times over the years. Over to you, Nikki and Adam. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Marco. What a joy it is to be sitting here in Africa and talking to the world about our beautiful wild places. They are the places that heal, restore, and make us fall in love with the world again. I think that would be the best way of putting it. And working alongside Timeless Africa, a company that knows these beautiful remote places like the back of their hands, I'm most honored that they have decided to choose the Masaai Mara in Kenya as their first Ignite Your Passion for Africa little seminars. I have been lucky enough to work in pretty much every game reserve in Africa through my career of running safari lodges. And I unashamedly can say that the Masaai Mara is the most productive, beautiful, year-round wildlife experience. We have a lovely lodge up there. Adam is going to take you and show you some gorgeous pictures. I'm just going to tell you how lovely it is, and then Adam is going to put pictures to my words. And you can, through the lens of his camera, he's a resident photographer, he will show you exactly what you would expect when you come to the Mara. The Mara is one of those places we like to refer to as that offers Chanel game viewing. This is easy peasy game viewing. Wide open spaces, rolling savannas, grasslands, the Great Rift Valley, the escarpment, the Great Mara River. It's kind of gentle game viewing. You don't have to work too hard to find animals in the Mara. You just simply roll down the hill from our lodge, which is perched, about in feet, I think it's about 700 feet above the game reserve itself. You roll down in the morning. As the sun rises, down you go, and you're welcomed pretty much as you leave camp by an extraordinary array of animals, birds, wildlife, and beauty. And I watch my guests when they come and stay with us at the Mara. They come, they've traveled a long way to get there, they've got busy lives back home, and when they reach the Mara, it all kind of melts away, and they learn little about themselves, they connect with some wonderful people, and the beauty of the wildlife and the nature simply captures their hearts. And when they leave, they all cry. So be warned, please, if you're coming to Ngama, be warned, you will cry on arrival when you see the beautiful views from the lodge, and you will certainly cry on departure when you have to say goodbye to the team up there that looks after you. Kenyans are renowned for their hospitality. It's natural, it's authentic, and it just flows. There's nothing fancy about Ngama. It's just a warm, wonderful place staffed by a team of Kenyans who can't wait to stand and wait for you and welcome you back to the Mara, back to Africa, if you've been before for the first time to Africa, with arms open wide. You will never have a more lovely holiday, but be careful, it does come with a warning addiction. Once you've been on safari once, you're going to want to come back again and again and again. And I believe Africa is one of those destinations in Safari Africa, one of those extraordinary destinations that once it gets into your blood, you can't get enough of it. And I know I speak on behalf of my team at the Mara that we just can't wait to welcome you. And Marco and his team at Timeless Africa, we work alongside them. If ever you need me to jump on a call alongside them and tell you more about the Mara, I'd be happy to do so. It's easy to get to, it's fun, it's beautiful, and please come and visit us soon. Now I'm going to move, I'm sitting in Johannesburg at the moment, but I'm going to swiftly move you across to the Mara, where my colleague Adam Bannister is sitting in our photographic studio. He is resident specialist photographic guide, and he helps our guests with all things photographic and teaches them how to use their cameras, helps them edit their pics. He's sitting in our photographic studio as we speak, and he is, I'm sure, going to show you some exquisite, beautiful images. So thank you all, and see you soon back in Africa. Over to you, Ad.
Thank you, and welcome to everyone. I'm still relatively new to the whole Zoom experience, so bear with me as I share my screen. I've prepared a little something for you all. There we go, hope you can all see that. Basically coming to you live from the Mara, from the photographic studio that we've got at Angama. Essentially, I've been asked to speak a little bit about photography and life in the Masaai Mara at the moment. I've been based here for the last 2.5 years. And actually for the last 2 months, I've actually been going out into the Mara almost every single day, filming and photographing little snippets and pieces that are coming out of the Mara as we speak. So the pressing question is, what makes the Masaai Mara and the Mara Triangle such a unique and special place to photograph? I wanted to show you firstly where we are in the world. Obviously there you've got the Serengeti Masaai Mara ecosystem, and I've just quickly grabbed a screenshot off the internet just to show you that this is the area, that little triangle that's in red there, that's what we're focusing on where Angama is. The reason it's called the triangle is because it's got the escarpment on one side, the river on another side, and the international boundary between Kenya and Tanzania on the third side. So that is the Mara Triangle. I've now dived up, or rather gone high up into a balloon, as I thought this was a good way to kind of lay the foundations as to where we are and show some context. There really is no better way of understanding the Mara than to get in a balloon and go high above it and look around. If you look towards the middle of this photograph, you'll actually see there's a herd of elephants down there below the river. That gives you some idea as to the scale that the Masaai Mara is about. And it really is the scale and the landscapes and the size and the freedom that makes the Masaai Mara such a special place. I took this photograph, this next photograph, I took that last week, actually about 8 days ago. And if you look closely, the top of that escarpment there, you will see a little lodge, and that is Angama, perched right on the top of the escarpment. Literally the edge of the Mara Triangle is the top of those rocky cliffs that you can see. Essentially the golden light, absolutely beautiful mornings, and it is a wondrous place to have a camp perched right on the top of the Mara Triangle. This is the view. This is what you see from camp. And at the moment we're talking very, very dramatic skies. Now I was a guide for many years down in South Africa in the Sabi Sands area. And a lot of people ask me what the difference is between Sabi Sands and the Masaai Mara. And I think this next photograph shows it quite well. As photographers, what is it that we should be looking for in the Mara Triangle, in the Masaai Mara? And I say, well, often we are very easily swayed into trying to get photographs such as this, close-ups of animals. And as wonderful as it is, as much as we all want photographs like this, as much as we all want to use those big expensive lenses that we have on board, I think it's often great to zoom out, to take a look and to stand back and actually use that wide angle and reveal photos like this. For me, the first thing is the very low angle, trying to get as if you were feeling part of that scene. So you're looking up towards the cheetah. Isn't she wonderful? And behind her, you've got that incredible escarpment, which immediately provides a context and shows you and shouts out, I am in the Mara Triangle. You've then got those wonderful dramatic clouds again, which are only really possible in the rainy months of the Mara, photographer's paradise really. And you've got the rain in this photograph. If you look closely, you will see the raindrop that's falling. And then there's those lovely pastel colors, which also are just fantastic. Here's another photograph, not taking the Mara, but I wanted to put this in for those who are interested in photography. This photograph was chosen for last year's Remembering Lions book. It was taken in South Africa. You can see that almost because of the context, the bushes, the shrubs, what's going on in the background there. But for me, this photograph is appealing because of the eyes, because of the movement, and because of the story, the mist. Here's a big male lion coming out of the mist. So a photograph needs to tell a story. Stories are what I love to tell in my photography. I know Nikki doesn't love these kind of photographs, but for me, these are exactly what the Maasai Mara is about. It's about raw, wild Africa. It's about what these animals do, whether we're watching them or whether we're not watching them. For me, it's all about that raw, emotional moment. Another very, very iconic, classic Mara scene of probably about 50 vultures at the time on the remains of an elephant. This elephant again died of natural causes, and what you've got here is a Rupel's griffin standing in the carcass. Basically, he's king of the castle. He's fighting to keep dominance of that carcass. Let's see what's else next. This one here, not necessarily technically the greatest photograph, but if you start to look at it as a photograph as being a story, you start to see something really, really unusual that's unfolded here, and that is the fact that there are two dead giraffe. This scene from back in 2018 actually took place. Two male giraffe were fighting, they were necking, and they actually hit each other at the exact same point in time, and they killed each other. Spot right on there, both of them collapsed. And what we then had was a situation where we had 3 prides of lions, we had probably over 100 hyena, we had hundreds of vultures, and this moment here, a lioness is basically about to jump on top of the giraffe. So it's one of those photographs that really, really tells a story. But enough of the gore. This is what the Mara is really all about at the moment. That beautiful golden early morning light, lovely lion cubs, plenty of animals. If people say, what is the one single thing that I would advise all people to do when they come to the Mara, my suggestion would be to get out as early as possible, because the animals are active throughout the day, but to get that wonderful light, you've really, really got to get out early. So this is a moment, 2 lion cubs from the Angama Pride, just Angama having a little morning play. That morning light, this is actually captured a few days ago. Egrets, cattle egrets flying over the Mara Triangle, heading for their daily feeding grounds. This scene happens 100 times a day, but to get it with that wonderful golden light appearing through the wings, that's got to be up early. You've got to be up early. You've got to get that blue, that wonderful colors that come through there. So, what is the Mara like right now? Here's a photograph that shows you what we're going through at the moment. The Mara is currently in its wettest period, at least since the 1960s, is what I've been able to establish. We're having a lot of rain, and the Mara is kind of breathing in a sigh of, well, it's taking a deep breath. It's rejuvenating itself. And what you can see there is the Mara River that has overspilled, overflood. It's really producing the most incredible scenes, and where we're able to get things like that. This is a wonderful image of a male lion walking down the middle of the main road. It looks like a river, and that's because it momentarily is a river. It's pouring with rain. And as a photographer, rain comes with, obviously you've got to worry about your equipment, but really it comes with the promise of getting these scenes and these scenarios which are truly incredibly special. And so for me, this photograph will be the photograph of the floody times, of the floods that we've had over the last 2 months. This photograph encapsulates that so perfectly, because that is the main road. The Maasai, we're very, very lucky to share this land with the incredible, wonderfully happy, radiant people, the Maasai. And this photograph for me encapsulates a lot about what they're about, with their smiling, there's singing. You can almost see the singing in the photograph. And you can see the dancing, the jumping, and behind them you've got the incredible African sunset. This photograph is taken at camp, at our little boma that we've got, where every evening we have sundowners and the Maasai come and they share their stories and their tales and their traditions with us. And so I enjoyed a kind of a slow motion shot here where I zoomed out as I took the photograph to give that rather unusual look. One thing which I've been trying to do, and if asked how's my photography changed over the last few months, I would say I've started to try and get as low as possible. And I've actually bought a camera specifically for this purpose, which has a swivel screen. it allows me to kind of lean down a little bit and get those action shots, eye level shots. So here you've got a lion, a male lion, charging down the road towards the sound of a buffalo that is actually being hunted by another pride of lions. And by being low, you can immediately get that energy, that power, and that kind of stature of the king of the jungle, really. That same low angle effect is what I went for here. This photograph, I absolutely love it because you can see an ant biting this jackal on the nose. So if this were taken a little bit higher up, you would miss that. You would probably just see a jackal looking down at the road. But he's actually in the middle of trying to work out whether that ant is possible to be some food or whether he should be leaving it alone. That's that incredibly low angle shot. Another example of a low angle, this is a titanic clash between two male elephants. And you can really see and feel that energy and that power as they collide with each other. One of my favorites here, taken not long after I first got to the Mara, of a saddle-bill stork taking flight. He's literally using the path as a runway. And he came bounding towards me, and difficult shot to get in focus, managed to get a few shots, and this is the one made lovely by those two wings at an almost perfect symmetry. And then, of course, another male lion taken really, really low. This is taken by a rather unusual technique of holding a monopod just beside the car, upside down, and it's really quite likely to be guesswork. You take 100 shots and one of them comes out right, and when it does, you get a scene like this, which just really is quite wonderful. And another example there. However, sometimes you do need to get high. A very, very typical example of what the Mara looks like. A couple of months after the migration has come through, the rains start again, the grass turns beautiful and green, and it's short, and you can see forever. This photograph, taken really high up, shows a pride of lions down in the southwestern corner of the Mara Triangle, and it gives you an idea about what life they lead at that time. We all have to take risks. I've put this one in here because I think it shows quite nicely the lengths and the extremities to which photographers will go to get the shot. I saw a pride of lions walking down the road. I thought they were maybe going to drink in that little puddle of water, put the GoPro down, drove away, and watched in dismay as the lioness picked it up, crunched it, ran off, disappeared. I managed to find the GoPro. It did survive, but worse than that, I actually had forgotten to press record. So the tripod got broken, all that got broken, the camera survived, but I have absolutely nothing to show for it other than these photographs, which is actually fine because they in their own right tell quite a wonderful story. You can see a rather bedraggled lion on the left, and then he shakes his mane and he's looking beautiful on the right. The rain forces you to also have to get creative in ways that you start to look at things in a slightly different way. A puff adder, I know not many people like snakes, but this is one of the most gorgeous snakes that we find here. And for me, this is the most miraculous time of the year to be here. It doesn't happen very often. It's a few days a year, and you've got a situation where birds come in their thousands. There's smoke, there's flames, there's ash, there's the smell, there's just incredible scenes happening. And if you can be lucky enough to be in the Mara when this happens, it really is a delicious time photographically. There's one there, big dramatic clouds, and actually a fire happening at the same time. Lastly, I wanted to finish off with a photograph of what I think is my favorite subject matter, and that is to photograph big birds of prey coming into land. It's a real test for how fast you can get your camera prepared, shutter speeds, focus, it tests it all, and you get these incredible moments of these big birds of prey, these vultures coming into land at high speed, throwing their wings out and giving you these remarkable images. So that's about it. That's what I've prepared for you today. And I hope you got to hear most of that and enjoy most of it.
The images you've seen today, Adam has taken over the last sort of 2 months, many of them, and that gives you a wonderful idea of, in fact, even during the rainy season, And rainy season, it's a bit of a misnomer. We have these dramatic thunder showers in the afternoon, and then these beautiful clear skies afterwards with rainbows and the sun breaking through, quite lovely. So yeah, we have migration madness from sort of late June through to mid-October, depending on what those 2 million animals decide to do that year. I mean, they sometimes arrive a little early, sometimes they leave a little early. We never really know. And that is something in itself that is remarkable to see. But the photographers and the safari experts generally prefer the Mara outside of the migration season. It's quieter. You don't keep bumping into 3, 4, 5, 6, 700,000 wildebeest around every corner. There is that drama with the migration, but for the rest of the year, you get that feeling, especially with the elephants. They're quite delighted when the migration goes back to Tanzania, and they go, oh, thank goodness we've got the Mara back to ourselves again, and a wonderful opportunity for game viewing. So my favorite time, like Adam's, is April, May. I love that time of the year. But for the rest of the year, it's the greatest game viewing, on a par with the Sabi-San in South Africa, with the Serengeti. And of course, the migration is a 12-month phenomenon. So if you're wanting to see the migration, the question you would ask your travel advisor at Timeless is, or they'll ask you, is what do you want to see the migration doing? The migration does many things in its 12-month cycle. So no matter what time you come to East Africa, you will find the migration somewhere, either in Tanzania or in Kenya. And then always a nice way to end that lovely safari is high up on the edge of the Rift Valley at Agama Mara. So it really is, it's every day of the year is remarkable game viewing. And I would recommend you come out of season, but that's me. Oh, and it's better value too. So that's also a good tip.
Good. Thanks, Nikki. Appreciate that. And once again, thank you to both you and Adam for sharing your love of the region and the Mara and the camp and Gama, the lodge, and also the beauty through the pictures. They were magnificent.